Hey, Steve from Vegas West Side Shooters, and I'm kind of excited about this project. Luke and I are going to start hand loading our own loads, and so we decided to build a reloading hand loading bench. And we ordered this from Hopkins 2x4 any size bench. We ordered it off Amazon.com. It cost 69 bucks with Prime Amazon. There was free shipping, so no shipping. And it basically, you open the box with a little surprise. Basically, all it comes with is these plastic pieces, which are what you do to make the bench. And in addition, it comes with the hardware. Somewhere in here, there's supposed to be instructions, but I don't see it yet. And then we went to Home Depot and picked up some lumber. So we're going to put that together, make the cuts whatever we need to make. There's that lumber there. And we're going to make those cuts, and then we're going to put that together and see how it goes. Stick with us. All right, so I've successfully put together the bench. It actually came without any instructions, but luckily it's pretty self-explanatory. And the nice thing about this Hopkins 2x4 any size bench is literally you can make it just about any size you want based on how long the 2x4s that you use are. So I'm going to try not to obscure the picture, but all of these 2x4s, you can put them any size you want and make this table as big as you want. I chose to make it 24 inches depth and 30 inches wide because I have a little bit of a space issue. I have my home-built bench behind it that I built, that I do all my firearm repair and cleaning on. So this is going to be strictly a reloading bench, and that's why I built a new bench. The other thing I did that was a little bit custom on this was I elected not to put the middle 2x4 in and to cut the shelf on this one about 16 inches. So that way if I'm sitting at the bench, I can have my feet up, or I can have my knees inside underneath this when I'm working on it. And I didn't want to have that shelf full length because then I would have to sit sort of sideways in front of the bench, and I didn't want to do that. The other thing that I'm not doing is it comes with these attachments so you can make a shelf, and these go up on top, and I'm going to just show you so you can see. Put a couple of these up here. Like that, and you build the shelf, but you know, as you can tell, that takes up a huge amount of surface area on top, and I don't really need, since I have these two shelves down at the bottom, the lower shelf and the middle shelf, and I have plenty of storage areas, I don't really need to do that. And I'm going to be attaching the press and the powder measure to this table, so this is going to really kill the surface area, and since I didn't really need the excess height right now, I'm going to put these in a cabinet somewhere and hang on to them. And then I'm going to show you here, I have all my reloading gear ready to go. I have the Lee Perfect Powder Measure and the Lee Classic Press. Of course, I've got a scale, I've got sizing wax, I have primers, bullets, brass, powder, and basically all the tools I need to get started. So without further ado, I'm going to now attach the powder measure and the press and put everything in storage, and we'll see how it looks. Alright, so here we have the completed Hopkins 2x4 bench, and I have piled up all the goodies underneath with the storage, which, let's see if I can rotate down so you can see that. There you can see all underneath the bench I've got all that storage there. And then up on the bench I have attached the Lee Perfect Powder Measure here, so you can see that here, and it's pretty stable. It's going to work just fine. The problem I encountered with this bench when you're using the Lee Breechloader Challenger single stage press, or probably any single stage press, is the way this bench is constructed. From the instructions I dug out online, it's not possible to adequately mount the press onto the top of this bench. And the reason is the way the bench is constructed here. You have the top. What holds up the top are these 2x4s here. And so all along all four sides you have 2x4s in almost like in a square box, and then the top sits on top and is screwed into there. And the top actually sits inside this edge to keep it stable. So you can't have a top that's longer, that's sticking out, I guess, unless you cut the wood with sort of a T sticking off of it. And I didn't do that because it wasn't in the instructions, and I didn't think about it in advance. But the problem is, because of the 2x4, when I tried to mount the breech lock on here, number one, there's no way you're going to run a bolt through, because it would have to go all the way through the 2x4 and down. You'd need about a 6-inch bolt. And I was going to just stick in some lag screws instead of the bolt, but then the problem is, I'm going to demonstrate this over here. So I did mount it I happen to have a sort of a homemade workbench, which is next to that. It's next to the Hopkins bench, and then you can see I mounted on this because this bench is just essentially 1.5 inches of wood. So I was able to put the bolts through and put washers and nuts on them to hold them in. But when you operate this, the bottom goes beyond flush. So when I tried to put it on the Hopkins bench, it was hitting that 2x4 that was right there, and I couldn't get the press to go all the way to the top. Well, obviously with this loading press, you have to be able to get the ram all the way to the top. So when I fitted it, I realized that was going to be a problem immediately. And again, so just so you can see it here, you have this 2x4, and if I were to put the ram down, this part would hit the 2x4, and so there was no way to operate it. So fortunately, I already have this bench in my workshop. This is where I clean my firearms and do a lot of work on this workbench, which I built a long time ago. And I was going to just use that for the reloading, but then I wouldn't really have anywhere to clean my firearms, and I didn't want to have a lot of lubricants and solvents and stuff on my reloading bench, so that's why I built a separate reloading bench. So basically what I'm going to end up having to do is I'll sit at the reloading bench here, I'll utilize the press, which is on this separate bench, and it's going to work out fine. But if you're thinking about getting the Lee breech lock Challenger set or the Challenger kit, and you're thinking about building a reloading bench, I don't recommend the Hopkins 2x4s. So even though it's inexpensive and it was a pretty easy bench to build, and it came out really nice, it just doesn't work with this press. And I'm going to guess that all the other single stage presses are shaped similarly, and that they end up with the bottom underneath, so they wouldn't work with this type of a bench. And you need the 2x4 to support the top. I guess you could cut out a notch. I mean, that's something I could have done, is I could have just cut out a notch so that it would go into the notch, but that might weaken the tabletop as well. So I didn't really want to do that either. So there you have it, the Hopkins 2x4 reloading bench for 69 bucks with probably 30 bucks worth of your lumber and a good hour of your time. Is a pretty solid and stable bench, but does not work well with single stage presses that you have to manually press down in front of it, unless you're willing to make some serious modifications that may or may not alter the structural strength of the table. So I hope this video helps somebody else who's looking to set up their own reloading bench. And then once we get the system going and we get some ammo reloaded, we'll probably post a video of that too. So Steve from Vegas Westside Shooters, as always, thanks for watching.